So let's see if they can let me see Ty this time around. See what we're talking about. You know, there are so many things happening right now. We are living in bizarro world. We're living in 1984. For those of you who don't know, 1984 is the name of a book that was written by George Orwell. And it was written, when did 1984 published? So 1984, and I think most high schools probably had kids read this, I think. They wouldn't have them read it now. They definitely wouldn't have them read it now. That's for sure. But when I was in school, there's a good chance. The book was published in June of 1949. And the kinds of things, it's what they call how do they describe that joint? It's like because I mean, it's the term Orwellian attached to the author's name has become the definition for the kind of experience we're having here in Trump's America, you know, where the government is manipulating and controlling all of information, all of education, and just basically, you know, being manipulators and just lying and fucking shit up for every fucking body, you know. But when he wrote this book in 1949, it was like, we got to realize this was right on the back end of the World War II. So it was probably closer to people's understandings about the potential of this because it had just happened in Germany, but in Europe. But as time progressed, people fell away from it, and they also, I guess, convinced themselves that it couldn't, you know, it can't happen again. And the quickest way for something to happen again is for people to forget it happened already. That's one of the quickest ways for that to happen. You know, I have one of my quotes, my 50 critical quotes is, "He who does not know his history is doomed to suffer in its echo." We've all heard the expression that history repeats itself. The reason history repeats itself is people forget it. When people forget it, they forget about the things that were the catalyst for the history, the things that happened that caused the history to happen. So when they forget those things, then those things as ideas and thoughts and so forth begin to resurface. And then that gives way to the history repeating itself, the same behaviors, the same acts, the same responses, and so forth. And that's what's happening now. That's what we're experiencing right now. Where's Ty? I see you, Phil BKNY72. Thanks for tapping in. Oh, there go Ty right there. JTXP is back. Always one. Thanks for tapping in, man. And Ty, where you at, Tizar? All right.
Go live with Ty Mills. I hate when it does this. This is the kind of shit that be making me want to pre-record shit. Now it says Ty Hunter turned on video, but I don't see shit. I don't see shit. IMLS, thanks for tapping back in. I don't see nothing. Like I said, man, it's an imperfect system. There, in the past, whenever shit like this happened, I'd be like, oh, they fucking with us. They fucking with us. They fucking with us. But maybe they are. Maybe they're not. It's an imperfect world. Always want peace to you, King. You know, and so, you know, so y'all know that's victory. We want that. But this is peace. This is the peace sign. That's the victory sign. Just so y'all know. So I've spoken to you guys before. First of all, let's do it. Peace, everybody. This is Kavaria H, your host, your co-host for the We Poppin' Son Talk Show, the #1 father and son talk show in the world.
I'm comedian Ty Mills. Shout out to iHeartRadio and
Blazing 420 on
and
iHeartRadio.
On WPAK.
WPAN, where you at, nigga? Bug. You smoking that shit? Smoking that shit? What's up, Clay Davis Jr.? Clay Davis Sr.,
Oh
what's happening
man.
with you? But I've spoken many times before about this book, the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations, and you can't see the subtitle, right? But the subtitle is Shaping the Moral, Spiritual, Cultural, Political, and Economic Decline of the United States of America. Think about that. Shaping the moral, spiritual, cultural, political, and economic decline of the United States of America. Understand? So this was written by Dr. John Coleman. And I just found out tonight, I was talking to one of my guys out of Chicago, and I put him onto the book. And while we were talking, he found both of Dr. John Coleman's major books, which is Committee of 300 and this book. And he found them on YouTube. He found the audio links for the Committee of 300 and for the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations. So I'm going to put those links in my bio in Instagram so that y'all can grab that. I think he said the Committee of 300 is 5 hours and the Tavistock Institute one, the audio for this one is 9 hours. Absolutely. You can see, you see all of this? I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books. None of them have this much notation, and they got a lot of notation. That's how heavy this book is in terms of information. And as you can see, it's not even that thick. It's only a few hundred pages. You know what I mean? Like my autobiography is thicker than that. But it is, and if you don't know, that's my autobiography, Raised by Wolves, is available on my website, www.themindplugacademy.com. I also have my hoodies, my t-shirts on there, and, backpacks, merchandise, stuff like that. If you really want to support, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you listening. But it would really be effective in terms of support if you went to my website, which I will again type in here, www.themindplugacademy. If you went to my site and grabbed a book, grabbed a t-shirt, grabbed a hoodie, that is support. That helps. JR 809 LES, I appreciate you coming back, bro. Reg Davis 49, appreciate you. Thank you, man, for tapping in. We popping, son.
I was having a conversation with my homeboy about support and just spending your money in general. He was like, "Yo, if he was talking about doing an acting class," and I was like, "The acting class is $2,500, and at the end of the acting class, the person was making sure you had someone that was going to represent. By the time you got to the end of his acting class, you was going to have representation. You was going to have an agent. You was going to have somebody trying to book you. You was going to. It was going to pay off in some way, shape, or form." And my friend was like, "Yo, 2,500. Would he spend the money?" He's like, "Yeah. What if I spent the money and like I'm 2 weeks in and then I don't like it?" I'm like, "But." He's like, am I forcing myself to just keep going once I know and I don't want to do it no more? I'm like, not really. You just got to keep doing it because you invested your money in it. You had enough of an interest in it to invest your money, so you're going to follow it through to the end. Like what you think you're going to get out of this, you don't really know. That's why you made the investment to have the experience to pay for the journey. He's like, but if I know I don't like it, then what's the point? I ain't going to just stay just because I gave my money. And I was just trying to explain to him like how you extract value from the situation, even though you might not like it for what you thought it was overall, you still need to stay for the whole experience and extract the value that you can from the financial investment, as opposed to just going home and sitting there and just losing your money and not having the full experience.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that, son. And what that does is it gives me an opportunity to put some emphasis on a common condition, I'll call it a problem, and the importance of addressing this problem. When you make a determination, you as an individual, whoever you may be, When you come across something, we'll use that example that you just shared with us. Somebody offers a service, a class or something to teach you something. If you determine that you should do it in the first place, that means that you figured somewhere in your mind, you figured that there's a need for this, that you have this, you have this interest. You have this interest in this space, this business or career or whatever. And you need the education, you need some education. You know this. So you seek that. And you come upon somebody who's offering that. It was your process that made you say, I need to find someone to provide me with this insight, this information. That was your process. It was your process that made you determine that the person or organization that you interacted with to provide you with this service, this education, these are the people that I want to deal with, the person I want to deal with to give me what I need. If you've never had the experience, you don't know what the experience is. If you've never had the education or never gone through the process of getting this particular education, this information, you don't know what it is. All you know is you need it, but you don't know what it is. You don't know what the experience is like, what the process of acquiring the information is like, nothing. If you come to a point in the process where you feel like you don't like it, it's probably not because, and it could be, that it's not because the person or the organization providing it is not doing an adequate job or not meeting your preconceived standards. You thought it would be this way, or you thought you'd be able to engage with the information this way, and that's not what's happening. But you've made your commitment. You've spent your money. For you to back out of it, not only are you losing your money, you're also undermining your own reliance in your process. You know, the process that led to you first determining, independent of meeting these people, you were the one that said, I want to do this, and I need to learn that in order to be able to do it. You're the one who decided that. And you're the one who decided that the individual or organization that you prevailed upon to provide you with that information would be the best for you to get it from. Now, in the process, you found that it's not a good fit, but you've already made the commitment. It's more important that you follow through with that commitment, not just to save the money, not to just salvage the money, but to reinforce your own process, because it is yours. That's your process. Your process is the one that is determining what it is you need, where it is you should best get it from, right? And if you second guess that, you're not second guessing or undermining the individual organization that you're prevailing upon to provide you with that insight. That's not what you're doing. You're undermining your own process. You're incorporating distrust into your own thought process. I don't know, man. Next time something like that come up, I don't know I'm gonna do that. Because the last time, I didn't trust my decision, or, I lost confidence in my own decision. So I don't know how much stock I have in my own ability to make decisions. How are you going to operate in the world if you're not willing to fall on your own process? Because it's all you have. You can ask your mama, you can ask your brother, you can ask your friend, but even if you prevail upon what they say to you, even if you say, should I go to these people? They're charging $2,500 for acting classes and so forth, and this is what they have accomplished, or what the organization has contributed to in terms of other people pursuing this same type of career. This is their resume. What do you think? And the person goes, oh, I think blah, 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 blah. If whatever you decide, whether you decide to listen to them or not, or whatever, that's still your process. You did not get around your process. All you did was defer your process. But at the end of the day, you're still the one that has to deal with the outcome. So it behooves you to work on your process. to develop your own confidence in your own ability to make your own decisions for what is in your own best interest. That is part of maturing. And it is maturing. When I say it is, maturing. Maturing is one of the biggest obstacles that we as a group, I'm speaking specifically to Black males, melanated males, we struggle with maturity. We struggle with, that's intellectual maturity, but we struggle with emotional maturity as well. And without developing a real confidence in your own processes, your own ability to make sound decisions and to choose well, whether it's a career or a love interest or a movie, without that confidence in your own process to make the best determination for your outcome, you are lost. That's it. You're lost. And before you go on, I think that something that has always stood out to me in the many, many things that obviously stood out to me about this book, I learned a lot of new words. I read this book about 20 years ago. And some of the words that I learned from this book have stuck with me and become part of my daily lexicon ever since. And this is a lot of history in here. But there was one thing in particular that really stood out to me. And the person about whom this is written, this particular excerpt that I'm about to read for y'all, the person's name was Bertrand Russell. And to give you some idea, Bertrand Russell was born in 1872 and he died in 1970. And he was a philosopher, a logician, that's a professional in logic, and a mathematician. And he was also a classicist. And you could say he was a racist, but he really didn't care what race you were. He was of a certain class. So he didn't give a fuck about nobody who wasn't of his class. And those are the people who are the ones that are impacting our daily existences and everything that's happening right now with our society as a whole. So, and he won the Nobel Peace Prize in literature in 1950. Just to give you an idea of the level of accolade, the level of regard, and the level of education and respect that this person had. And now I'm going to read to you what this person said, what was said about this person, what the person said. After all, Mead and Bertrand Russell had stated that what was needed was a world populated by docile subjects. Remember what I told you about docilization? Remember on, what was that? Thursday, when we talked about the calcification of the pineal gland, when I played that little clip where Tucker Carlson talked about the melanin in the brain and how melanin affects Black people, right? And how it makes us more advanced, and how the calcification, because of the melanin we have, our being subject to calcification was like 5 to 15% susceptibility to calcification, as opposed to Asians, which was like 15 to 25%, as opposed to Caucasians, which is like 60 to 80% susceptibility to calcification. And remember, I explained that the calcification of the pineal gland is what makes people docile, easy to control, easy to subjugate, easy to tell anything to, and it disenables their ability to be able to discern what is and what isn't plausible or realistic, right? Which is why you have like a MAGA movement, same reason you had, the Nazi movement, the same type of reasons. So after all, Mead and Bertrand Russell had stated that what was needed was a world populated by docile subjects. Russell had remarked on the childlike character of the American Negro he had encountered during his travels to the United States. Russell said he preferred them, the American Negro, he preferred them to white people He also said that if the white race was to survive, it would have to learn to behave in the childlike manner of the Negro. Yet, in the same breath, the Tavistock emissary, he is a Tavistock emissary. Emissary is a representative, you know, somebody who carries that idea, that philosophy, whatever, with them, whatever, right? A rep. The Tavistock emissary called black people, and he's the Tavistock emissary. So you know what I'm talking about. Bertrand Russell is the Tavistock emissary that they're referring to right now in this statement.
Yeah.
The Tavistock emissary called black people useless eaters, which is a term I became familiar with Bush when he said it out loud in a public address to a room full of these type of motherfuckers. Not these type of motherfuckers. In fact, these motherfuckers right here. And when I tell you that this book is extremely, extremely thorough, it is extremely, extremely thorough. This right here, you got Hannity, you got Limbaugh, you got Tucker Carlson. I haven't seen this motherfucker in a while. Where the fuck is he? Bill O'Reilly, Oliver North, Gordon Liddy. I'm just saying names of people that have still been in the circulation in the things you may have seen on your YouTube or whatever have you, right? So going back to this, dude went on to say, the Tavistock emissary called black people useless eaters and declared that they ought to be wiped out in mass. This is a motherfucker who was given the Nobel Peace Prize in Literature in 1950. This is a motherfucker who is a philosopher, a logician, and a mathematician. He's one of the founders of the analytic philosophy and a major figure in modern logic. And he said that black people should be wiped out in mass because they're useless eaters. Although, now, this is supposed to be a logician. This is supposed to be an intelligent person. This is supposed to be an informed person. And he's completely, apparently unaware or ambivalent to the fact that we are the fathers of civilization the world over. And that's a fact. And they know this because they have stolen and hoarded our history. They know this. And he said that anyway. You understand? And he's far more intelligent than the majority of the motherfucking crackers running around doing the fuck shit they doing right now. Like Stephen Miller and all these other motherfuckers ain't got no level of intelligence, no level of educational information that this man has. And this is his thinking. Okay, so he said that black people he declared that they ought to be wiped out in mass. Russell also liked the docility of the Brazilian people, brought about, he thought, by the inter-race breeding with Africans, brought over as slaves, quote unquote. There is a school of thought that one of the primary objectives of the fiends who planned both world wars was that they would be fought for the most part by young white men. So World War II, World War I, those were in part, apart from trying to just make a bunch of money and keep the general population completely in a bad vibrational space so as they could be subjected to control, to kill as many white males as possible. And in that instance, I think 500,000 of them died. 500,000 Americans died, which is, just think about that, 500,000 people who signed up to go and fight this shit. Well, they had the draft. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of them signed up for it. This is World War II. So just to give y'all an idea of the historical context of the shit that you're seeing right now, it's not new. These people are not new. Their ideas are not new. Their behaviors, their thoughts, their intentions are not new. Not new. It's been happening. I don't know how long our people think that they can be oblivious to this shit. How long they think they can operate without having any real true awareness of what the fuck is going on in the world around them. But time's up. Time is up. Hey, now let's talk about a bunch of bullshit that don't matter. Did you see that Vlad TV interview that he did with Ari Spears, where he talked about having the sex worker dude come on there, and the dude was talking about how he was with Diddy and Cassie one time, and he was so sick of Diddy directing and telling them what to do and all whatever that he just pretended that he nutted, but he didn't nut. And then he said, and then so apparently the dude said that Diddy was recording, and and I've heard this other people say this before about how he would be just grabbing phones and just recording with these different phones, whatever, and fucked around and picked up dude's phone. Mm-hmm. So dude had the recording on his phone, and he showed it to Vlad. You heard about that?
No.
So this gets to the crux of Diddy's deviance, I think. And I'll tell you why I think that. And I'll tell you why I think it. But he said that, firstly, this is Vlad describing what he saw. He said, Diddy's completely drenched in oil. Completely drenched in oil. And then he comes walking by the screen, walking by the camera, and he said, dude is about 3 inches at best. 3 inches at best. Now, that might not shock women, right? Because women see men's penises.
I don't even know like a baby. It sounds like a baby penis. Like I'm like when my son was like, when Tata was born, his dick was about 3 inches, because his mama said, his grandmother said, I see why you stayed with his father so long.
The same thing when you were little. Same shit. Tiffany, she's like, sometimes she would give y'all baths. And the same shit. She was like, shit like father, like son, like this, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was obvious. It was fucking obvious. It was fucking obvious. Like, yo, this motherfucker gonna be a problem when he grow up. Oh, if this ratio keeps up, this nigga gonna be a fucking problem. You know what I mean? So, like, but that's the degree. Like, a man is gonna see his own sons. He's gonna see his own.
See a bunch of joints.
Nah, and I've never been a pornography watcher ever in my life, ever. I don't see what the attraction is. I really don't. But I guess, I've been fucking since I was 8 years old. So it's like, why would I be interested in that? I'm fucking. So why would I be interested in that? But, you don't imagine that. You don't imagine a nigga walking around with a 3-inch joint, bro. And I'm assuming, like, you in the room that is going on, you popping pills. I'm assuming this is erect. Erect? You're 3 inches.
He got a big clit.
Yes.
His girl, a big clit, it look like a little thumb on you. He like, God damn, juicy. I thumb wrestle that motherfucker. Like, all right, bitch.
Oh my God, bro. But that's Diddy's villain origin story, bro. In my mind. So the dude said that Diddy said to him, man, I guess, niggas on them drugs and all that, whatever, the motherfuckers' inhibitions come down, and he's in a space that he's totally in control of, and he's exerting all of this control in this space. He feels like he's not vulnerable here. I controlled everything, It's that narcissist thing. So he tells the dude, he said, yeah, man, I can give my women anything they want, man. I can do anything for them, man. I just can't give them that. I'm like, wow, bro. Like, no wonder this motherfucker's so fucked up. So when you think about how screwed up and deviant and off the wall motherfuckers be acting, and this micro penis thing is much more prevalent with white males than anybody else. That's a fact, right? Like you can look that up, right? In fact,
Hey,
I
hey
think I
Siri,
will.
who got the smallest penises?
Which phenotype? I'll put it like that. Which phenotype is
Your Google search is
most
disgusting.
likely to have which male phenotype is most likely to have what is considered micro penis, baby dick. See, not my baby, but no specific phenotype, racial, ethnic, or morphological group is scientifically established as most likely to have micropenis, which is a rare congenital condition defined as a stretched penile length more than 2.5 standard deviations below the age-adjusted, meaning typically under 2 centimeters at birth.
You
Right?
see what you gotta understand? The nigga with the micro penis, he wrote this. He programmed this motherfucker. So it ain't gonna never say. It ain't gonna never say. Oh, it ain't gonna never say the white man got a micro penis.
See, that's
Let's talk about this now. What the fuck?
You're right, son. That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. That is. I'm telling you, you got to consider the source. Remember, we had this conversation a few weeks ago about considering the source.
Yeah.
Consider the source. Whenever you are receiving information, you got to consider who programs these things. You know it's white men that are programming these AIs. You know, these AIs, they aggregate information that's already out there in different places. If it's been digitized, then AI has access to it. Depending on the level of AI you have, that determines the expanse of what it will pull from when you ask it any given question, right? But the majority of the information that is out there that these systems are most likely to access is created by white people. The same type of white person that would be a Bertrand Russell, the kind of intellect and intellectual that would make the kinds of statements that this psychotic, inbred, cave-dwelling piece of shit made. And he was given the Nobel Peace Prize for literature because he's so fucking smart. He ain't dead enough for me. And I hope his line ended with him. Bunch of baby dick motherfuckers. That's why they mad at the fucking world. I bet 90% of those ICE motherfuckers are some baby dick ass niggas. Bet. I bet that. But you got to understand, like, the way that inadequacies, and we've spoken about this before, and in talking about it, I recall kind of using Puff as a kind of an example. Inadequacies can drive a person as much as any desire or aspiration. Trying to prove or make up for shortcomings is a major motivator. That's why I believe, in my opinion, there are so many high, and I don't mean overt homosexuals, it's the closeted ones. Closeted homosexual white males, in their effort to prove that they are worthy, that they are just as good as any, actual man. When I say actual man, I mean a man who is functioning as nature intended for a man to fucking function in this world. No deviance of any kind for no reason whatsoever, whatever the fuck it might be. Whether it's based on chromosomal imbalance or some sort of childhood trauma or some psychological issue, whatever the fuck it is that's driving that particular type of deviant behavior. And that's what I deem it deviant fucking behavior, because it deviates from what nature intended. Nature intended that the male and the female would copulate and be able to populate. If any connection doesn't create that, then it is a deviance. I'm not saying that it is bad or good. I'm saying it ain't what it's supposed to be. That is my perspective based on what I understand to be fucking logic. And however you feel about it, again, I don't know if you're familiar with my work, but I don't give a fuck. You got something to say? Go ahead and say it. I don't give a fuck. I stand on what I stand on. And I'm also not a person that is so hard in his perspectives that I am not able to adapt based upon new information and understanding. I do it all the time. It's called growth. But as it stands now, my understanding is the shit is deviant. That's it. And I know gay people, and, you know, I've never had a problem with them or none of that type of shit. But I've spoken to them, especially like gay women. And I've had many throughout my life. I've had many gay women, and most recently last year, many gay women say to me, if I could find a man like you, I wouldn't be gay. I'm like, what the fuck does that actually mean? I don't say that to them, but I'm like, what does that mean? I'm a thinking person, so I think about those kinds of things. What does that mean? So you're telling me, for lack of a man that meets your preferences or standards, you have decided to assimilate the male's role? Because it's not like these are just effeminate women who have romantic engagements with other women. These women who dress like, for the most part, and conduct themselves as they play the role of in their engagements with women of the male. That is an indication to me of some type of psychological, psycho-emotional issue. This subject is a slippery fucking slope, but you know, I mean, I don't give a fuck, bro. I'm not, you know, you can't get me fired. You can try kicking my ass, but you got to bring ass to get ass. If you feel so strongly about or you're so strongly adverse to my opinion, you know, if it means that much to you, then go ahead and sacrifice yourself, because that's what you'll be doing.
You know how strong a nigga who put a dick in the butt is? You better stop playing.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
He do that for fun. You better stop playing.
You're right.
He fight you. He could just try to touch you. Come here. Let me get that.
Imagine that, though. Imagine that. You try to fight it. See, I don't get into all that. I don't get into all that. I just put it on them. Yeah. That's that. That's been my fights.
What's that? His masochist, where they just like pain? What if you have an orgasm?
It ain't pain. It's I push your button. You're unconscious. So,
that's it.
You're unconscious.
Y'all just, you know what I'm saying? You just got him off.
I mean, I won't know about it, because immediately after I knock a motherfucker out, I gets the fuck out, because you know what they do as soon as they wake up. Call the police! Call the police! Every fucking time. Every time. They gonna fuck me up. They gonna do this. They gonna do that. As soon as I knock their ass out, when they wake the fuck up, first thing they do is they want to call the police. Happened to me 50 fucking times. So yeah, knock you the fuck out. Knock you the fuck out.
But like, that was, y'all, shooter just told us to call the police. What happened, shooter?
But on some real shit though, bro, like, that's the type of shit that'll make a nigga mad and angry. Just imagine all that bread, and he still couldn't figure out a way to get like a penile transplant or something.
Man,
that's weird. Isn't that weird?
That's crazy.
There's got to be some type of, I've heard of all type of shit. I read like 20 years ago, they was talking about they got this thing where they put this pump in your joint. And I guess they graft skin from your inner thigh to give you extra skin. Because I mean, if your shit is 3 inches on hard, ain't no point in adding nothing to it that's gonna make it grow bigger. You ain't got enough sufficient skin to accommodate more length or whatever, right? And it comes down to circulation. So all you motherfuckers that really, I'm not talking about that micro penis shit. I mean that if that's your situation, you're in a bad place.
They gotta go inside and cut the penis because the penis is attached to the rectum. So they just gotta move your booty hole up to push the penis out some more.
Are you making that up? Did you just make that up? Because that sounds plausible.
Oh no, the real anatomy is like that. Like your.
I mean, yes, that's what I'm saying. It sounds plausible.
But that's why
I
I'm
gotta
saying,
move
like,
your butt. I gotta look that up.
What the fuck?
I gotta look that up. What? Move your booty hole? What? What the fuck? What? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me see. What is the pro?
You gotta sit at a different angle when you take a shit.
You basically gotta. I don't know which way they gotta move it. They gotta move it that way, or they gotta move it that way. You know what I mean? Because I mean, if
what the fuck?
What the fuck? Ooh, this conversation we left fast as motherfucker. Wait a minute. So, if they gotta move it forward, then you can basically shit standing up if you gotta move it forward. And if they gotta move it backwards, nigga, they gotta design a whole new toilet. Because you imagine walking in the bathroom and a motherfucker is laying backward across because his asshole is up like at the top of his butt crack now. His asshole like that. So he laying on the motherfucking toilet and shit. Yo, bro. Ooh, Lord. My God, man. The human condition is so fragile. The human condition is so fucking fragile, bro. And that's not a joke. That's very serious. I learned that when I was going through my transition out of the street. And I began to realize how so much of who I was attached to some very limited ideas about myself and life itself, right? The priorities that I had based upon the life that I was living were so unsuitable for anything other than that life. And in order for me to be able to move from that life into mainstream life, I had to let go of a lot of things that were part of my identity. And in doing so, I found myself in a very precarious, kind of state of being. And for the first time in my life as an adult, I felt unsure and like the ground beneath my feet was not solid. I didn't know exactly, for the first time in my life, I didn't know exactly where I was. And then I realized how fragile existence was, because our ability to function, so much of it is based on us feeling confident about who we are, where we are, how we are, what we are. Even though for the most part, many of us are completely off and wrong about that. But, we settle in on something, and for better or worse, we ride it out. And as I said before, people generally don't change until they've lost enough being the way that they are. Only then do they change. And the fragility of human existence becomes so fucking apparent, man, when you start to really basically go into deep introspection. You start to really question the things you think, question the things you've accepted as reality. Then you start really feeling like you don't weigh anything and any wind could come along to blow you the fuck away, which is why most people avoid doing it. I completely understand why people would avoid doing it. I advise doing it because if it doesn't kill you, and it won't, feel like it will, but it won't. If it doesn't kill you, come out on the other end so much better, so stronger, so much a better and truer version of yourself. It gives you so much more likelihood to access a quality of existence that a great many people, no matter how long they live, will never have. You can't imagine that the people who are, running around with those MAGA hats on, and some of those people are in the worst conditions that you can imagine a person being in this society. I mean, you know that when you see some of the little things that they do, when those like comedic kind of commentators, political commentators go out to MAGA rallies and ask questions. Like, what is DEI? What do you think about DEI? Do you think that Trump was correct in federally disbanding DEI? Whatever? Yeah, I think he was correct in doing, because it's not good. Whatever. Oh, what is DEI? What does it stand for? What does it stand for? That's a good question. It's like, what? Are you fucking serious? How could you be this way? And there are millions of them that are this way. Now, I don't know whether there's like some real actual genetic like shortcoming in terms of their minds or whatever. It could be. They are, this is kind of a racist thing to say, I guess. Like to generalize and say that, white people are known for inbreeding, but they kind of are known for inbreeding. I mean, at the highest levels. I mean, you look at all the, royal families and all that, whatever, they've been doing that shit forever, from all over the world, Europe, Euro family, like to keep the money and keep the wealth and keep the blood pure. They believed in that inbreeding shit for a long, long, long time, based upon the things that I've read and been exposed to. You can't do that kind of shit for generations and not do something to the genetic pool, but there definitely seems to be something inherently wrong with a certain sector of the white society, where they can have these duplicitous, cognitively dissonant fucking ideas, like believing two different things that are diametrically opposed to one another. Like, I believe this and I believe this, but they're two different fucking things and they can't really coexist together, but they coexist in my head. Like, this is a common condition, especially like common condition among human beings. But in terms of like the social political, space, whatever, like I think MAGA has cornered the fucking market. They've cornered the fucking market with this shit. And again, I don't know whether it's like inbreeding or what the fuck is, but something is really seriously fucking wrong with these people. No bullshit. Like, seriously, something fucking wrong with these motherfuckers, man. And it's consistent. It's consistent. You can ask them all kinds of shit and they feel so strongly about this and so strongly about that. And you ask them a simple question it would give them an opportunity to explain why it is they feel so strongly about that particular position. And they have nothing. So where do the beliefs come from? Why are you so attached to them if you don't actually know what you're talking about? If you don't know what DEI is or what it even stands for, how could you be so adamant about supporting these policies that are counter to DEI? Like, what the fuck? Like I said, man, the human condition is super fucking fragile. And the more people avoid coming into contact with their own truth and the generally shared reality, right? Because, I mean, it's perception, but if we're both standing out in the rain, we can agree that we're getting wet. Can't really argue about that. If you're standing in the rain, I'm standing in the rain, you're like, you're wet, I'm wet, because it's fucking raining and we're out here. If you can argue that you are not wet because, well, I'm white, so, rain doesn't affect me the way it affects you. Rain may wet you, but it doesn't it moistens me. Like, I mean, what I don't understand what the logic is that enables people, or the process is that enables people to have alternate shared realities. But whatever it is very, very, very prevalent with white people, especially MAGA white people. It is interesting, to say the fucking least. It is very fucking interesting. But yeah, I don't know how we got from micro penis to MAGA, but it was a short distance, I can tell you. It didn't take long. But we have to, when I say we, I'm talking about us, not them. I'm talking about us, Melanated Collective. We got to pull it together. We have to pull it together. I posted something earlier. It's the last post on my page. It was a young brother. He appeared to be of like Middle Eastern descent, but the way he spoke and the things he said is like, oh, he's Puerto Rican. He was standing there next to a brother who looked to be part of the Hebrew Israelite club. And he talked about how important it was that Puerto Rican or Hispanic people and so-called black people work together and operate together and be cohesive, come together to insulate ourselves and uplift ourselves and defend ourselves against the oppressive psychopathy of white. He didn't say this, but he's talking about white maleness. Now he's standing there talking to a white boy who looked to be, they age like bananas. So he could have been 17 years old. He dressed like a 17-year-old, but he's somewhere probably between like 19 and 25, 23. And he said, when 9/11 happened, you guys looked at all Arabs as terrorists. But I'm looking at you, and you look like a school shooter to me. And then they panned the camera over to him, and my motherfucker, 3/4 trench, three-quarter jacket, all black, dressed like a gothy, like a goth. The glasses he wouldn't meet even the Europeans' criteria for an attractive white male. He would be the least desirable type of white male type motherfucker. The kinds of motherfuckers that like to go and shoot up schools because nobody ever picks me for their team. Those motherfuckers. Right? And I have a micro penis on top of everything. So he made some very powerful points. I direct everybody to go to that and check it out and, really check out and spread that shit, because it's a message that's important for us to come together, Hispanic people and so-called black people, for us to come back together, because Hispanic people ain't nothing. Hispanic people are us. They were just dropped off in different places as they were being taken from our land here. We were here when they got here and started attacking us after we helped them survive here, and then started dispersing us into different places around the planet, including, Dominican Republic and all these other places or whatever. Right? But they are us. Their skin got light. You know why their skin got light? Because our women are beautiful. That's how the skin got light. The message that he was sharing is very, very important. It's the most important message today. The most important message today is collectivism, coming together, working together. There's no difference that any one of us can have. And as I thought about this, when he was saying what he was saying, I was reposting it. I thought about my response to Gene Deal. and his mindless stupidity. Gene Deal is obviously not a sharp knife, right? And he's doing anything he can to keep his name in the cycle because it gives him the ability to prevail upon paydays with podcasts. So he's not really thinking about what he's doing. And what I thought about was like and I don't have a beef with him. He did something that was disrespectful. He perpetuated a fallacy. He, without thinking, casually attacked and attempted to undermine my name, my reputation, and my character, which is in this world, it's punishable by death. He knows that. He knows that's an offense punishable by death. He knows that. But is a conflict between he and I more important than the importance of us as a collective coming together at a time when we are being attacked on every front in real ways, where it really matters, with our financial freedoms and opportunities, our political freedoms and opportunities, our social freedoms and opportunities. When these things are being systematically attacked and undermined and reversed, is it more important to attack and fight and have conflict with one another than it is to look past any differences we may have and come together and defend each other and our collective? Because the group is more important than the individual. And that's something that I was taught from being raised in the underworld. The thing is more important than you. In this instance, the thing is our people. Melanated, Hispanic, whatever language you speak, the melanated people who are, of the original ilk, the original people on this planet. We are being attacked by this anomalistic, what they call them? I forgot the term that they use for them, but they are an outcome of something that went wrong. And of course, I'm not saying that, obviously, not all people who aren't melanated are not good people. That's not the case. If that were the case, if there was never a non-melanated person who was decent and humane and so forth, we'd still be fighting from a really disadvantaged place, or we would be annihilated, or they would be annihilated. It is because of white people like John Brown. If you don't know who that is, do your history. Real serious white man, abolitionist. Real serious. He wasn't playing no motherfucking games. John Brown was snatching those fucking plantation owners, those slave owners out of their fucking beds and chopping their heads off like white dude. He was like, no man should own no other man, period. That's it. And that was 150 years ago, 200 years ago. I've been around damn near 60 years. You're talking about 200 plus years ago, right? And so, of course, they've always been, and there are very many decent, good, humane white people, for sure. They're just not the ones who are power mad and driven by their inadequacies to be in control of every fucking body. Those good and kind and decent white people are not, malignant narcissists and psychopaths and so forth, whom, as I've explained before, are the ones that rise to the top of this society, this capitalistic society. They're not the ones who end up being at the top. And if they are, then they are just as much of a target as we are, because they are counter to the agenda of those other kind of white people. So, when I say the things I say as it relates to the, generalizations about white people, I'm not speaking about the entirety of white people. Not at all. I mean, you know what it is with me. You know who some of my, I would say, my closest fucking brethren. I'm talking the closest motherfuckers to me who are not my blood relatives.
You got him. And he been there Godfather, I'd have been on trips with him. I'd have been at his house, and my pops ain't never been around. I had my own relationship with him.
So I've never been a bigot ever, but I've, I've always been a realist because coming from the life I come from, you have to be a realist or you won't make it. You got to be real. You have to be pragmatic, right? So that I just wanted to make sure that that was understood when I, as I speak to the message in the post that I put up at the brother was speaking on about Hispanics and black people coming together and looking out for one another and looking past our own petty grievances, because no matter what they are, they're petty in comparison to our real enemy. They're petty in comparison to what these people are actively doing. You have some of the worst kinds of human beings ever who are in positions of power and authority, and they are making decisions that are so destructive that long after they're gone, there will still be negative remnants of their acts. They know they're putting shit in place that it may have taken them a very short time to put in place. It's going to take, for some people, it's going to take a lifetime to be undone and reversed. Y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand. But you have to. You have to understand. You have to. It's not an option. You know, I don't know. Any last thoughts, son, on what we've talked about? Like, what are your takeaways? What are your takeaways from this? I know you're thinking about the dumb shit. It's so funny. You have to excuse him. He's a comedian, so everything gets filtered to the comedian brain. I know exactly what the fuck he's thinking about right now. You should go ahead and share with the people your process. I already know how fucked up you are.
Oh man.
So, what are your takeaways? What is it that made you giggle so?
Oh man.
Damn.
That micro penis slide your asshole up your back or closer to your balls. Like they probably gotta take your sack off. I don't move your sack behind your hole. You got
Bruh, that would be impossible. That would be impossible. How the fuck would you be able to sit down? You wouldn't be able to sit down.
Separate the.
And then when you went to take a shit, you'd have to wipe your ass and your balls.
Separate the funk and the beans.
Yo, that's some fucked up shit. I really gotta know.
Oh man, that is fucked up.
For penis enlargement, what is the procedure for penis enlargement? Okay, let's see what it says about that. And then after this, I'm getting the fuck off here. So you see, it says it's thinking. It killed me to say it's thinking. It's like you ain't thinking, motherfucker. You can't think. No reliable, safe procedure guarantees significant penis enlargement. Most medical options target girth over length with mixed results, high complication rates, and limited evidence. Non-surgical options, surgical procedures, okay, with higher risk. Ligament release cuts suspensory ligament for 1 to 2 centimeters, erect length gain. Right, so you're not gonna you're cutting your fucking dick string, and charging you anywhere between $5,000 and $15,000, and that's mostly to put your ass to sleep, and then
Anesthesia, motherfucker.
yeah, and then it's like, oh wait, fat transfer implants, silicone sleeves, grafts, 1 to 2 inches in girth. So if you want your shit fatter, it's 10 to 25,000. But there's a 5 to 15% risk of infection, and your shit gonna be lopsided 9 times out of 10. And your erection is gonna be pointing to the ground, like more so. So instead of your shit sitting like this, you should be sitting like that. And Silicone sleeve skin for 1 to 2 inch girth. Like, and you don't gain much for fucking nothing. You don't gain
Man.
much for nothing. So, but it didn't say anything. Let me see. I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna say, Ty Mills says that. Tom Mills said. Yeah, I'm gonna say. Tom Mills says
You gotta snatch it
they
from the
move your
back,
butthole. That
pull it
they
front.
move your anus in the surgical procedure. Let me see what it said. I fucks with this shit all the time. No, Tom Mills' claim about moving your anus and penis enlargement surgery is incorrect. Standard procedures like ligamentolysis, or fat grafting involve no anal manipulation whatsoever.
You trying to make it seem like I'm just trying to play with a nigga butt. What the fuck? What y'all trying to say about me, yo? Crazy as shit.
And they put the shit. They put the no anal manipulation in bowls. They got it in bowls. Like, tell Todd Mills cut the shit. But let me see. Oh no, possible confusion. Todd Mills may be mixing penoscrotal web correction, trimming skin web between penis/scrotum for visual length. Visual length? What does that
The
do?
fuck is that, dude?
Visual length with anal surgery, or confusing it with rare buried penis reconstruction, where scrotal fat repositioning occurs. But even then, no anus movement, no legitimate urologist touches the anus for cosmetic enlargement. What's that?
That sound crazy too.
That
Like
that's good.
how your dick look bigger, but it's like
Like, what's
shit.
that
Look, I
about?
got the surgery. My shit look bigger. I shaved the hair around it. Like
What
I'm young
what
again,
purpose
nigga.
does that serve? To look bigger? Like, what the fuck purpose does it serve? I guess if you are
Like, is it in? No, still not.
it's like if you are like a porn actor or something like that, you want it to look bigger, I guess. But they got lenses and shit for that, don't they? Like, type of shit. All right, so I'm glad that this has been such a constructive conversation, son, and that we've been able to learn so much about, Diddy's micro penis, and the whole penis enlargement thing. And I know this has probably been a very sensitive conversation for a lot of people. I know there's probably some people out there who are really dealing with this, and it's not to make fun of, because you can imagine the psychological impact of being inadequate. Like, just think about it. Motherfuckers get teased for wearing glasses, for needing glasses.
If I woke up and my dick was smaller, boy,
I don't know what I do.
nigga, like yo, I
I
think
don't know
I
what I
caught
do.
something. I'm like, yo, you ever woke up and I be Google, what it mean when your dick's smaller when you woke up? Like,
It probably means you're not erect. So that's what it said. There's a difference between your relaxed condition and your erect condition. Some dumb shit like that. No, Google, I'm talking about on full hard, I'm missing at least an inch here. At least an inch and a half, maybe. What happened?
hey.
Oh my gosh, man. I'm glad that we could find something to laugh about. I mean, even if it's at the expense of those poor fellows out there who are inadequate in that area, but they can make up for it by, working extra hard, making extra amounts of money, and just being extra in every other way in general. I would imagine that some of the best boxers, some of the best basketball players, some of the most academically achieved individuals have been micro penises. And people say, what drives you? What makes you go so hard? What makes you just really push and exceed common levels? And if they could be honest, I have a really small penis. Well, they weren't really small. You know what? I just thought about that. When I did that, I just thought about that. So your sister's mom told me this many years ago. She told me that her last boyfriend was maybe a guy she dated between her like one of her previous boyfriends, whatever. She told me the one who fucked up a credit. She told me that his shit was like this, like she said, and her pinky is not as big as my pinky, right? Obviously, he's a female, and I have big hands. She said his shit was like this long and that thin, and I laughed. I didn't believe her. Because I had never heard of micropenis. This was 20 years ago. I had never heard of micropenis. I'd never heard of such a thing, so I didn't think it was real. So I just thought she was just being facetious and maybe a little vindictive or something like that, you know. I didn't think it was real. But now
it don't sound right to let a nigga with a small dick fuck up your credit. It was like, so how'd he work that move? Because that's a real move. If he wasn't dropping it off, how do you let him do that? Like
this, you know, different things that impact people's a young woman's sense of self, like, you know, having daddy issues. If a girl has daddy issues, then the attention of any male, adequate or otherwise, you know, and especially if she's not extremely sexually experienced. If she's not extremely sexually experienced, then
she don't know what she's missing. She just like,
she don't know.
This is what it is.
It's like, oh, this is what it is. Oh, okay. You know, and if she likes him, you know, for other reasons, then it's like, whatever.
Matter. Yeah,
whatever. And if you ain't never had a nut, you ain't gonna miss it. You never had a nut, you know, until somebody says, "Girl, you have a," and then you're like, "No, what's that?" Like, girl, you ain't never. And that's when it's like, wait a minute, I'm missing something. Something's not happening here. And start questioning that. But other than that, motherfucker ain't gonna know what they never had, you know. But, you know, that's, man, wow. But like I've always said to you, man, you know, I mean, the luck of the draw, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't do anything that made the difference in our endowment. We didn't do anything. That just is. That's why I've never believed in bragging about that. I never believed in that. Because, like, it was just there. I didn't do anything. I didn't make any effort that gave me, you know, what turns out is above average endowment. I didn't do anything for that. So I never saw the point in being like, yeah, you know, I'll do this, I'll rock it. And I was coming up. I don't know if this is a thing now, but when I was coming up in the 70s, that was a big thing. That whole, you know, kids coming into adolescence talking about, oh, I'll rock your world, girls. I'll rock your world. And dudes like, I'll make you scream. And if you listen to the rap records from back in the days, listen to rap records from the early 80s, late 70s.
Girl, I rock your world. Take you all around the world.
All they talked about was sexual prowess. Really, like, they talked about other things peripherally. Sexual prowess was the number one fucking thing. That was the number one thing. Because what else did a poor kid from the hood have? What else did they have? And even if you did have stuff, most other poor kids from the hood didn't know anything about anything. So, you know, I was wearing Givenchy as a kid in the 70s. Givenchy, Pierre Cardin. But who you bragging to? Nobody knows what that is. Your neighbors upstairs, downstairs, they don't know what that is.
It costs a lot. They
got no idea. They have no idea whatsoever. Motherfuckers was wearing $12 Pro Keds and $17 Chuck Taylors, and they got a pair of those once a year, maybe twice at the beginning of the school year and at the beginning of the summer, if you were going away for the summer. But motherfuckers didn't have shit. So bragging about such things didn't mean anything. And sex was about all that anybody, you can go on the roof, you can go in the hallway, you can go behind the stairs, anybody can have sex. And if you were adequate in whatever way, whether you knew what you were doing or you were endowed enough that, you could make an impression, then that was your prop. That was your prop, I mean, that's why I dealt with women who were 5, 9 years older than me. Because I was built like a man. I was built like a grown man as a kid. That's why those old bitches was fucking taking advantage of me. You know what I mean? But it's ain't nothing to brag about. I ain't shit to brag about, honey. What did you do? You didn't do anything. I inherited from my ancestors, and you inherited from me, and your son inherited from you, but that's that. All it takes is for somebody in our line to fuck around and go get involved with some.
This nigga's stupid.
And there it goes.
What the fuck? This nigga's
wink, wink. There we go. I'm gonna get off here before I get myself.
Yo, this nigga's crazy.
But this is fun. I don't know the last time we did this and I laughed as much. So thank you for that, my son. Thank you for that. That was fun. All right, and yeah, that's it, man. So I love you, my son.
Love you too, Pop.
Yeah, man. And for the rest of y'all, you know what it is. Think critically so you may live wonderfully. That's it. Mind plug out. Remember, Blazing 420 WPAM on iHeartRadio. Check us out. And my YouTube, Kabari the Mind Plug. And what's your YouTube, Ty?
Comedian Ty Mills and Ty Mills Comedy, both of them.
Okay. Well, check us out. Support us. www.themindplugacademy.com. Check out the books. Check out the services. Check out the merchandise. When I say check out, I mean, break bread, dickhead. And that's it. See y'all on Thursday. Peace.